Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cogent Bogan. In this episode, I'd like to talk to you about how America is being destroyed. Now, this is a process that doesn't happen overnight or within only a year or two. This is a process that takes quite a bit of time. Also, there just isn't one thing that certain people use to divide a country, which is essentially in how you destroy a country, by the way. It boils down to divide and conquer. Sounds simple enough, but really, it is actually simple enough, but it just takes some time to do. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. Some of the tools that they use to divide a country is gender, religion, identity or ethnicity, and the current laws of the land. Let's take gender. Currently, today, there are many people trying to say that there are more than just two genders, which actually is false. There is only two genders, there's only two sexes, male and female. That's just pure science. What you identify as does not constitute a gender. It is your opinion or an opinion of someone else. It is not a scientific fact. It is basically an opinion. But people, once again, due to rational thought dying, do not think that way no more. They actually believe that your feelings are more important than actual facts. So that is just one way in how they use gender. And just how is this dividing the country, you may ask? Well, it is pretty simple to the point where it almost sounds outrageous. But if you can get a whole group of people saying, well, I'm no longer a man, I identify as a woman, and you have to agree with that, and you have to respect my wishes on that, well, of course, that's going to cause a division because you're going to have people going, no, because really, even though you don't want to no longer be a man, according to science and biology, simple biology, no matter what you do, your DNA will never change. So, therefore, you are a man living the rest of your life as a woman. You cannot become 100% a woman. And the same thing goes for the women who want to live their life as a man. You cannot change your DNA to become a 100% male. What do I mean by that? Let's take the transgendered woman. Even though they go through the hormone therapy and all the surgeries and they become as much as a woman as humanly possible right now, they still will not be able to bear children. That's just pure science right there. You can't do it. Same thing with the transgendered man. Even though you're a woman and you went through all the surgeries possible, taking all of the hormone pills, your DNA doesn't change. When you become this man, you cannot get a woman pregnant. It is pure, simple biology. To further confuse the populace, they are now trying to say that gender is an assigned or it's a social construct. Why? Because they know they can't defend themselves saying, hey, I was a man, now I'm a woman, and now here's the proof. Well, there is no proof you're a woman. You're still a man living life as a woman now. You cannot become a 100% female. It's right now with the technology we have, it's 100% impossible. I'm not saying that maybe in the future they can actually do that. Who knows? Maybe they can. But as of right now, you cannot become a true female. So that is why they're trying to say it's a social construct. And that's the only argument they have. They cannot provide actual facts, statistics, or proof to show that when a man transitions into a woman, he is 100% female. And the same goes with a woman who wants to become a man. There is nothing out there scientifically, medically, that says this person is 100% male or female after a transition. So they have to rely on a social construct type theory, and it really is just a theory, to justify the whole transgender movement. To further their agenda and their theory, they are actually now calling for people to say that your children should be brought up as non binary, which is really, in my opinion, nothing more than child abuse. You're going to force an idea on a child that has no knowledge of the way how life really is. But yet you're going to turn around and force this way of thinking onto this child. These children have to rely on their parents to learn not only about themselves, what they may like, what they may dislike, but they have to learn on what is right, what is wrong. They have to learn all about morals or morality from their parents. These children are very impressionable growing up until they pretty much start getting into their teenage years. So, of course, they're going to believe almost anything a parent says to them at a very young age. And to me, that is a form of child abuse. Children growing up are always very confused, especially about their own sexuality. They have no idea what it is to, say, be a man or a boy or a girl or a woman. So they do look to their parents for that guidance. So if you are going to bring up these children who are very impressionable and confused, especially about their sexuality, and you're going to teach them about being non binary, that is only going to cause more confusion in these children. And then what's going to happen is when these children get older and they start going into schools, like sixth, seventh, eighth grade in high school, and they've been taught all this non binary stuff, you're going to have other kids in there with them who were not brought up with that way of thinking. And these non binary kids are going to be teased and bullied and made fun of. And of course, the blame should be on the non binary parents for teaching them this kind of stuff. But what's going to happen is these parents are going to pass the blame off onto the other parents of the children who are doing the making fun of and the bullying, instead of taking responsibility and saying, hey, you know what? Maybe we were wrong about teaching the kids about being non binary. And, instead of teaching them, well, you're a boy, this is how a boy should be, that you're a girl, this is how a girl should be. And then letting that child figure out for themselves whether they're going to be gay or not gay, or choose to live life as a female or male. No, you're not giving that child that opportunity to make up their own minds on this. What you are doing is forcing them to choose on something which, in a way, is really confusing to kids that young. The other way people use gender to divide a country, or to divide the populace, I should say, is by coming up with things such as the gender wage gap. Of course, there is plenty of proof out there saying that men do make more money than women, but yet that's a very generalized statement. A few statistics that the same people who argue about the wage inequality don't tell you is women do take more time off due to health issues, whether it be a problem with their menstrual cycle or maybe because they've gotten pregnant and are going to have a child or plan on having more than one child. So they do take time off for that. But yet these statistics never come up in the argument from these people who argue about wage inequality. And then when you do bring up those types of statistics to these people, they immediately try to deflect away from those statistics, or they just simply say, well, that should not matter. So, how does that come into dividing the country or the populace? Well, that's kind of pitting man against woman, isn't it? They're saying, hey, because the men are in charge, they're treating women unequally and unfairly. Therefore, we deserve to have the same amount as men and whatever else goes along with it. So, what that's doing is essentially pitting man against woman. So, that's another way how they use gender to divide a populace. Another way they use gender to divide a populace is by saying, well, hey, look, there's not enough women in the corporate world, or there's not enough women in politics, there's not enough women sportcasters. And if you really look at it, there's not a lot of women that are actually trying to get into those positions. Now, there are women who do want to get into politics and sportcasting and whatever, but nowhere near as much as men want to get into those positions. And that is how the term diversity came into play. Now they are trying to push diversity, which is fine by me. But what they're trying to do is saying, well, there should be an equal amount of men and women in all these positions. And you just can't do that, because what's going to happen is people are going to either be hired or elected into positions based solely on gender, not on their merit, work ethic, or experience in those fields. And once you start doing that, once you start getting into, hey, we're just going to hire this person or elect this person because they're a woman, well, you know what's going to happen? A lot of mistakes, a lot of bad mistakes. Because if this person is totally unqualified for that position, whether it be a CEO, a mayor, president, whatever, a sportcaster, whatever, if they don't have the experience to do so, they are going to, one, embarrass themselves. They're going to look, well, for want of a better term, pretty ignorant and stupid. But yet they'll turn around and pass the blame off onto somebody else because of their lack of knowledge, experience, and merit for that position. That is not how you run a business or run a country. You do not put someone in a position of either management, power, or political status based on gender only. You have to put people in there that are knowledgeable about the job, have experience about the job, and have a good work ethic or merit. You just do not say, well, this person's a woman, so let's put them in there. That is not how you run a business, how you run a country, how you run whatever. You just don't do that. But that is what is happening today. They want people put into seats of power and influence based strictly on gender. Now, let's talk a little bit more about ethnicity. Yes, they use ethnicity to help divide a populace, a country, or a nation, however you want to call it. And this has been going on in America for quite some time. For the last couple decades, all you ever saw on the news whether it be local news, national news, in the newspapers, or even magazines, is you always seen things like cop shoots black man or African American, but they never show anything about how the cops shoot a white man or a white woman. They never show that. The only time they ever really do that is if it's something really big and major. Like the shooting that happened in California. They don't show you, like, say, a white man who was stopped at a traffic stop started shooting at a cop and the cop turns around and shoots and kills this driver. They won't report on it on your local news, your mainstream media, or in the newspapers or magazines. They don't do that. What they will do is turn around and show you how, like, a black man who was stopped for a simple traffic stop turned violent and was killed by a police officer, whether that police officer was black, white, Latino, or whatever. They just keep doing that. And what this does is it gives the false narrative that there is a war or that the police only shoot black people. When if you go and look at the statistics, there are more white men killed by police officers than black men. Why do they do this? Well, they know it's still a sensitive and touchy subject in America today. Even though through the graces of Martin Luther King that racism and segregation is gone, they know that if they keep portraying or only showing you one side, that they can cause or create their own narrative. And that is exactly what has happened. If you go and start talking to some of these young people about cops shooting black or African Americans, you know what's going to happen? They're going to tell you the same thing I'm about to say. Well, that's all you really see in the news, that the police do nothing but kill black people. And if you turn around and go, well, if you look at the statistics, white men are actually killed more than African American men. And of course, since it's been drilled into those young people's heads for so long that it's the police shooting black people, they won't believe you. And that's exactly what certain people want. They know that if a certain story or narrative is told long enough without saying the whole 100% truth, that their narrative that they want to create will be believed more than actual facts. And with today's technology age, where everything is moving so fast, a lot of these younger people don't want to take the time to go and do their own research. Instead, what they're doing is relying more on the mainstream media for their information. And then when you try telling them, hey, look, you have to go here, here's other news articles that debunk this story, here's actual statistics that debunks everything you've been told, right away what do? Well, no, that's fake news, that's a lie. And that kind of propaganda is actually working on the youth today. They also love to use religion to help divide a country. Now, currently today in America, a lot of media outlets, including the mainstream media and Hollywood elites and whatnot, they are saying, well, we should be inclusive and accepting of Islam. But at the same time, they're turning around and bashing Christianity. And they are also bashing the Jewish religion as well. Now, every religion does have its own radicals or extremists in it, if you will. That is something I'm not going to deny. Every religion has them. There's no denying it. And if anyone denies it, well, they're denying history. Now, when it comes to Christianity, what is it a lot of the times that you tend to see in the news media? Do you see like how a local church is, or just a local group of Christians is out helping feed the homeless or doing fundraisings for, say, the veterans? No, what the news media tends to show you is some of these radical people or extremists in Christianity that are against, that talk and denounce homosexuality. You know, like the Westboro Baptist Church. Those are the type of things that the mainstream media likes to show you. They show you always the bad part of Christianity. They love to show how all those so called Christians go to all these gay pride rallies and start throwing things at the gay people. That's the kind of thing that they show you. They never really show you how, like, say, like I mentioned before, how, like, Christians come out and they feed the homeless, or actually sometimes even take them to a shelter. They don't show you how the Christians are, you know, doing fundraisers for the veterans, or for, say, another family or a victim of some unspeakable crime or an accident. They don't show you the Christians doing that now, do they? And when it comes to Islam, they tend to show you only certain little parts of it. You know, like you'll see them standing there nice and peacefully and quiet. They'll always show you them praying. They Things of that nature. They show you Islam in a rather benign light. But as soon as someone from the Muslim religion commits a crime, like, say, an attack on someone, or actually kills somebody, or does a breaking and entering, or like recently how the FBI foiled a plot against a Muslim man who was going to shoot a rocket propelled grenade at the White House. They don't tell you that the man was Muslim. They don't even really tell you that he was from the Middle East. They will refer to this person as an American or just a male, and they try their best to keep that he was a Muslim out of the public knowledge. But if a Christian man did something like that, they will make damn sure to let you know that this person was a Christian. And they'll even go as far as maybe mentioning what church he belonged to or what specific Christian religion he belonged to. But like I said, when it comes to a person of the Muslim faith, they tend to never mention that. And then when you're on social media, say like Twitter or Facebook or even YouTube, and you were to mention, well, this person who did this attack here and here, he was a Muslim, he believed in Islam, you're automatically censored. Twitter will possibly remove your tweet, they will shadow ban you, or they will actually just kick you off Twitter, mentioning you violated our terms of service. YouTube will do the same thing. You'll get some kind of a strike against your video saying the same thing. Hey, you violated our terms of service. Same thing with Facebook. They'll actually delete it for you or kick you off the platform. Same thing with YouTube. All of the social medias platforms. If you try to bring up certain facts like, hey, this attack was done by a Muslim person, here's his name, here's his picture, and you tell the actual story, you tell all the facts. All That's all you're doing. You're just giving facts. You're not saying anything bad about Islam. You're just saying this person who caused this attack, here's his name, he was a Muslim man, here is his picture, and that's it. They will censor you. They will kick you. They can even possibly kick you off the platform. And if you try to bring it up, like, say, in anywhere in the mainstream media, like, just by chance, let's just give you this scenario, you happen to be interviewed by one of these people, they won't use your clip. Or if you happen to be live on air with a debate uh, to one of these reporters, they will sit there and right away try to get you to stop talking about the Muslim faith. They will do whatever it takes. They'll even go as far as calling you a xenophobe and a racist because you brought up one simple fact. Hey, this guy was a Muslim and he committed this crime or this attack. And then right away, and you don't even bash Islam. You don't even say anything negative about that religion. they will start calling you a Nazi, they will start calling you a racist and a xenophobe. So that's how they use religion to help divide a populace. Another tactic that is also used to divide a people or a populace is political standings. Of course, here in the United States, we have Republican, Democrat, Independent, liberals, and conservatives. There's just so many, it's ridiculous. And one of the biggest things that especially the mainstream media, loves to do is, I mentioned this before, where you'll see clips on the internet through alternate media sources of how, say, a peaceful Trump supporter gets attacked by an anti Trump person, but that's never on the mainstream media. What is on the mainstream media, though, is Antifa. Now, there's been plenty of times where Antifa, who, in my personal opinion, by the way, is a domestic terrorist group, they go and they have attacked plenty of Trump supporters. But the media won't show you in the clips what led up to the attack. What they do is they show you the Trump supporters fighting back, defending themselves. They don't show you anything before that to give you clarity on the whole story. They only just show you the Trump supporters defending themselves by basically attacking the Antifa group. And what that does is it makes people go, I guess Trump supporters really are violent people. But they don't, like I said, they don't show you what happened is where Antifa actually attacked the Trump supporters, and the Trump supporters were just defending themselves. They don't show you that at all. Now, do they? Look at all the times where Trump supporters were attacked. Like the one guy who got his head cracked open from a bike lock. Mainstream media didn't really report on it. You may have seen a quick 10-second clip on it, and that's it. That's it. It's gone. Never heard anything else about it again. Basically, the media suppresses the truth. Like I said before in a previous episode, they tell you just enough truth to be credible or viable, but they don't tell you the whole truth. And essentially, that is actually worse than lying. Now, how do they use the law of the land to divide the country? Well, that's a little bit more complex. But if you go through a lot of the laws, whether it be federal or local, you'll find a lot of little quirky loopholes that just don't make a lot of sense or really just should not be there. And this is what they use to divide a nation. One of the biggest things is, of course, freedom of speech. And they tend to use the term hate speech. But yet, hate speech really is not clearly defined. It is so vague, hate speech can mean anything. I mean, you can literally go, "Hey dude, how you doing?" And because you use the word dude, that can be construed as hate speech. Why? Because dude is a male, and if this person is not a male or identifies as a male, that's hate speech. You just, created an attack against them. And that's kind of really crazy. Also, they take advantage of the First Amendment by saying, hey, we have freedom of speech. We can say whatever we want. And we'll, and well, they do. They literally do. And if you literally listen to a lot of what these people have to say, they're loaded with inaccuracies or misleading information. What I mean by that is they don't tell you the 100% truth. They tell you a little tiny snippet of the truth, and that's it. They don't tell you everything. They don't bring in facts, proof, verifiable proof or facts. They don't tell you the statistics. And if they do give you statistics, it's something that is, from in my opinion, an untrustworthy source. I'm sorry, but if a newspaper or media outlet does their own study and says, okay, these are the statistics. Well, I would rather believe the federal government statistics or local law enforcement or even local government statistics before I believe any major news outlet, study, or statistics or polling. Because, quite honestly, if this media outlet has a bias towards something, let's just take guns for instance. Do you honestly think if they're going to go out and say poll 1,000 people, are they going to target specifically those 1,000 people who are against guns? Or are they going to target people who are for guns or half and half? Meaning, okay, look, we got 1,000 people here. 500 are for guns, 500 are against guns. No, they don't do that. They can easily pick who they want to poll or interview or take a study of to skew the polling or the statistics. Whereas with even local government or federal government or the local police department or anything, they usually and generally do not target certain people. They just leave it open for anybody who has an opinion to come in and answer these questions or do the study. They don't seek out certain demographics of people. Whereas the news media, they do seek out a certain demographic of people. So polls and studies done by the mainstream media or even a university, you really got to take it with a grain of salt because those are usually going to be biased and skewed. You're not going to get a true 100% objective result from them. One of the goals to dividing a country or a populace is to basically get rid of the rational thought process in the populace. What do I mean by that? They don't want you to think for yourselves. They don't want you to go, okay, I just read this article or watched this story. I'm going to go do my research to see if this is really true or not. They don't want you to do that. They want you to listen to them and them only for your information. They want you to trust them. They want you to rely on them. And that's one way to start the division of a populace is by basically propaganda. You stop the people from thinking for themselves and acting for themselves. You want them to do what you want. You have to make the populace rely on you. You have to make them think the way you want them to think and do what you want them to do. And the way you get them to follow or fall in line, so to speak, is to divide them, to confuse them, to have so many different things going on at one time that the people just don't want to take their own time out of their own day or their own life to sort through all the crap that's being thrown at them. Basically, you have to make the populace complacent. Even if that means you have to give in and give the populace something that they may want. Take, for instance, the legalization of marijuana. Of course, a lot of people will say, well, the real reason why we're doing it is, each state can, or city, whatever, can use the income from it. If we make it legal, that'll bring in a lot more tax dollars for the city and states to have legalized marijuana. And of course, they'll sit there and say things like, well, marijuana has a lot of health benefits, which I'm not denying. It's been proven that marijuana does have a lot of health benefits for certain conditions. There's also no evidence that marijuana is addictive or can make you get addicted to some other type of drug. There's no scientific evidence of that either. Of course, since it's been illegal, they really couldn't do a study on it, a wide study, and to find out if there's any adverse effects of marijuana usage. But getting back to the point, That's what they do. They give the populace something to make them complacent, to win over the crowd, saying, hey, look, I helped legalize marijuana. Listen to what I say. Follow me. Give me your votes. And of course, because being human beings, we're all selfish, those people who want to smoke marijuana all the time will go, hey, this is a great guy. He helped legalize weed, so I'm going to keep supporting him without really going through and thinking through and saying, okay, did this guy really just legalize weed just so he can get my votes and stay in office? Or are they being legitimate and saying, okay, look, there's really nothing wrong with smoking weed, so that's why we decided to do it and make it legal, whether you vote for me or not. Like I said, that's what I mean. It's like you have to think about it with your rational thought process. Did this politician or whoever this person is who legalized weed, are they doing it for your vote and your support? Or are they just really like, hey, you know what? There's been too much crap going on with weed being illegal, too many people being busted, too many lives being ruined. There's no adverse side effects from it, so let's just make it legal, and that can end a problem and take a lot of pressure off of law enforcement. Or, like I said, are they doing it just to keep you complacent because they know for a fact that a lot of these people who are for legalizing weed will go, hey, look, this guy legalized it, so I'm going to keep supporting him and vote for him no matter what else in politics this guy does. Well, that's pretty stupid if you think about it. I don't care if the politician legalized weed. If he does something stupid, such as, say, raise taxes or bans firearms in my state, well, you know what? I'm never going to vote for that guy again. Why should I? If this person is taking away my rights just because he legalized weed, I'm going to support him? No, that's not the way it should be. But unfortunately, that is the way many Americans have been manipulated into thinking. We got what we want. I got my weed now, so from now on, I'm just going to vote for this guy. And that's not the way you're supposed to vote for anyone into office. Okay, granted, you got your weed, big deal, but what else has this person done to help better not just your life, but everybody else's life here in your state, city, or nation? Have they actually done good other than giving you, legalizing weed for you? Have they raised taxes? Have they lowered taxes? Have they made new laws that better protect the citizenry? Have they addressed certain health issues, like, say, in Flint, Michigan, the water issue there? Has that person addressed that issue? And that's where the rational thought process is supposed to come in. Don't think about or support somebody just because you got one or maybe two things from that politician. It's not supposed to work that way. You're supposed to also be thinking about your fellow citizen. What have they done to help benefit others as well? And 90% of the time, these same people who say, well, I'm going to support so and so because he legalized weed, will turn around and complain about how the government sucks, how things aren't getting done. Why aren't our roads fixed? Why isn't the Flint water situation fixed? Why are we paying so much money in taxes? How come car insurance rates are so high? And it's like, well, you know what? You voted for those people in office, and guess what? They're the ones responsible for that, but yet you put those same people back in office, and the only reason why you put them back in office is because they legalized weed. Of course, that's just one small example, and there's many, many more on politics that we can go into, but I can be here for the next couple of years talking about politics and how people really do not use their rational thought process on politics. And I really, that'll just be way too long for me to talk about. And I'm pretty sure none of you want to hear me rambling on that much about politics. Now, I know I gave a lot of generalized opinions about how America is being destroyed through certain aspects. I know I could have gone in depth a lot better on all those subjects. But the reason why I didn't is because my whole idea of not just this episode of this podcast, but all the other ones, is to get you to think, get you to look, get you to recognize, do your own research, think for yourself. I want you to do that. Now, like I said, I could be wrong in some of these opinions of mine, but to be honest, I really don't think I'm wrong. I may not be 100% right, but at least I can honestly say I honestly believe that I am at least 75 to 100% right in all of my opinions. But the most important thing I'm hoping that you do, if you get anything out of any of my podcasts, I hope that you get out, do your own research, and start thinking for yourself. Hey, even if you can prove me wrong, then do it. Prove me wrong. But what you will be doing is something that I want you to do. I want you to think for yourself, and I want you to do your own research. I don't want you to rely on the mainstream media or politicians or even someone like me for all of your information. I want you to go out there, do your own research, see what's going on. Don't listen to just one news channel like if you love CNN, that's great. If you love MSNBC, that's great. Do not discount things like Breitbart or Fox News or anybody else or Daily Wire. You have to listen to all sides of the story in order to get the full picture. If you are just listening to one side, whether it be the left, the right, or Democrat, or Republican, that's not the way you should be thinking. In order for you to get the whole story, or at least as much information as possible, is for you to listen to everything. It's just like, you know, going to watch a court case, as a matter of fact. When you go and you watch a court case, a jury trial, what happens? You hear the defendant's side, you hear the other person's side. Basically, you're getting information from everybody, as much information as possible to draw your own conclusion. And that should be the same thing when it comes to political issues, when it comes to gender issues, religious issues, whatever issue it may be. You have to get the story from everyone, not just one sided. Take Christianity. I don't want you just to take Christianity's side and listen to them and listen to their stories. No. Go out, listen to other people. Listen to, talk to an atheist, talk to a Buddhist, talk to a Muslim, talk to a Taoist, anybody. Get all the information you want and then draw your own conclusions. That's the whole point. Do not fall into complacency. Because once you start becoming complacent and basically relying only on one or two sources for all of your information, then you are falling for the trap that someone has set for you to be misinformed, misled, and basically lied to. And that's what these people, these globalists, are afraid of. Not just globalists, but people, other people too, um, that want to destroy what we have here in this country. They don't want you to be free thinking. They don't want you to go out and search for facts and the truth on your own. They want you to rely on them and them alone. And by the way, it's just not here in America that this is happening. Seriously, go and look at England, Venezuela, even in Mexico, and other countries. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, why does anyone want to have so much division and have the country divided? Well, that's actually quite simple. And now a lot of you may think this will be a conspiracy theory, but if you actually think about it, it's actually true. It's all about control. There is a lot of things going on, not just in our government, but across the world, where, of course, globalism, where they don't want any nations. They want the world as a whole to be ruled by only one set of government, and that's it, and one set of laws, and that's it. It's basically control over our lives. They want us to do what they want. They just want to tell us what to do, and we are just supposed to obey and do what they want. That's essentially what's really going on in today's world. And if you're still kind of doubting everything I've been saying so far, okay, think about this. There is a big push from companies for you to send them your DNA so you can see where you came from, and what your history of your DNA is. Sounds rather innocuous, right? But think about this. The government now has, or somewhere, somebody has your specific DNA on file somewhere. It's not going to be destroyed, it's going to be kept on file. Smartphones. A lot of them you have to use your fingerprint to unlock the phone. Guess what? Somewhere on file, a permanent file, they have your fingerprint on file. Some of these smartphones are starting now to use facial recognition to unlock your phone. Guess what? Somewhere on a permanent file, your facial features are now being stored. Social media encourages you to post pictures and videos of yourself. So, guess what? Somewhere on a permanent file, not only do they know what you look like, meaning facial features, they have your gait, meaning how you walk, how you move. Also, they have your surroundings so they can possibly find you better. They have your voice print on permanent files somewhere. They also have your habits, what you like to do, what you like, what you don't like. They know all this stuff about you, and it's on a permanent file. And a lot of this information is actually being sold to other companies. For a lot of you, these companies also know what you drive, where you like to go and eat, where you like to go and shop. Think about all the information that you have given out over social media. Think about how that information can be used basically against you. Some people say, no, they use it for me because now they can recommend things for me and where to shop, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, they know more about you than you probably know about yourself. And you are giving them this information freely. Take a look at smart devices such as like Alexa and Siri where you talk to them. They got microphones and cameras in a lot of these devices as well. Just think about it this way. If the government wants to find out what's going on in your home, or any company for that matter wants to know what's going on in your home, most likely they can just go ahead and turn on the microphone and listen to what's going on in your home without you even knowing it. They can actually do it to your phones too. No, that's not a conspiracy theory. That's actually a fact. If the government or some other company wants to, they can turn on not only the microphone of your phone, they can actually turn on the camera on your phone and watch video. Heck, they can even get into the GPS and find out where you are. Even though you manually go in there and shut it off, meaning the GPS, a company can actually turn it back on anytime they want, find out where you are. Look at all these cameras around your cities and inside the stores and in malls. Yes, granted, they're there for security reasons and safety reasons, but at the same time, they're recording everything about you, your facial features, how you walk, how you move, where you go, where you like to shop, where you like to eat. We like to think of it more as, well, they're there for our security, but is that all that it's there for? And if you really look at it, it is a form of control. How many times have you posted brand new pictures of what you look like now? With a beard, without a beard, with a brand new haircut, with brand new clothes, with a brand new car. It's all a form of control. That's what a lot of people want. They want you to give up all this information freely so they can have it, store it, and sometimes even sell it to other people. Now, of course, it is, I won't deny it, it is kind of convenient when, say, you go to Amazon, you look for a few things, and Amazon's like, oh, based on your search history, here's some products we recommend. And sometimes it might even pop up something going, wow, I didn't even think of that. And, I'll buy that because it's something that sounds like I need. Now, yeah, that is convenient. It's kind of a nice little thing to have. But then again, you didn't think of it. So therefore, someone else did the thinking for you. Therefore, your rational thought process is diminished. You're relying on someone else for that information. You're not relying on yourself. So, how is social media and smart devices, how is that a form of control? Well, like I said, they're controlling you by making you give them as much information about you as possible. Your personal privacy is being diminished almost every single day when you use social media. The more information someone has about you, the more they can understand you, and the easier it will be for them to manipulate you into doing what they want you to do. It is just basically that simple. Sounds crazy, sounds like a conspiracy theory, but if you give it some serious thought and you go back and you look at all this stuff, you'll find out that it's actually true. It's not too far fetched, it's not really a conspiracy theory. It's just something that we as a populace have accepted. Why? Well, in the beginning, it was brand new and it was fun. And that's what it's disguised as. Hey, it's fun. I get to show people where I went on vacation. I just bought a brand new car. I want to show people this. I got this brand new video game. But yet at the same time, you're giving away information that you really wouldn't want a total stranger to know. Uh, you know, Take, for instance, a simple picture of inside your house. You had a few friends over. You want to show the world, hey, I had my friends over. Here's a picture of them. And say it's in your living room. And it's a good, nice, wide shot. But guess what? If someone who, say, let's just take a thief. Now that thief knows where your windows are. They know a pretty good layout of your home. Possibly where the kitchen is, where your front door is, where the windows are at. They got a pretty good idea already what's in your home. They'll know if you have an Xbox or PS4 or PlayStation, whatever. They'll see what kind of possible TV you have, microwave, anything that might be of value to them to break into your home and steal. Now, I know that isn't a form of control, but I'm just giving you an example of the information people just give away freely without even thinking about it on social media. Same thing with your car. Something as benign as showing off your brand new car. Hey, I got this car here. Guess what? If a thief likes that car and they're like, hey, we can steal this car, they know what make, model of your car, what color it is. And if you're dumb enough to let your license plate be shown in the picture, they'll know, they can look that up probably online. Come there and know how to steal that model, make and model of car. So basically, what am I getting at? Well, that's the form of control a lot of these companies now have over the populace. You are willing to give up certain information without even thinking about any form of repercussions. We are all guilty of it, including myself. I've done a lot of dumb things in the past too, giving up a lot of pictures, a lot of other information, things that I own, things that I bought, and I've given it out too. And currently, yes, I am trying to get rid of it, but since everything is done electronically, nothing is ever gone forever. Nothing is truly 100% deleted. The world thrived and survived without social media and the internet So in a way, we really don't need it now. It can still survive and thrive without the internet and social media. And also through social media, that is another form of what these people want you to see and not see. As I mentioned earlier, people like Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube censor or shadow ban or delete channels or accounts that they deem inappropriate. Now, I'm not going to name names here, but there's been plenty of accounts that, like on Twitter, are have been banned. On YouTube, either their videos have been demonetized or their channel has been deleted. And on Facebook, their pages have been deleted, mainly because, one, they were, say, a Trump supporter. Another couple people that I seen get punished, if you will, were because they spoke out against, well, they really didn't speak out against Islam. What, like I said earlier, all they did was they provided factual, verifiable information about certain people being in the Muslim faith, and lo and behold, their accounts have been canceled, their channels have been deleted, or their pages on Facebook have been deleted. It's even creeping into places like Patreon, where certain YouTubers are being dropped by Patreon due to allegedly violations of terms of service. And if you go back and you look at the evidence, they didn't violate any of the terms of service from, like, say, Patreon, Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. And how is that a form of control? Well, of course, some people will say, well, it's hate speech, it shouldn't be allowed. Well, I hate to tell you, in the United States of America, we do have something called freedom of speech. So, yes, it should be allowed, unless it's a call for actual violence or the harm of another person. Then, yeah, by all means, get rid of it. But what do I mean by control? Well, take a channel that's just giving you information. They're not bashing, they're not saying anything negative either about a political party or a religious belief or something of that nature. All they're doing is giving you actual facts, nothing else. But yet they get demonetized or they get shadow banned or kicked off that certain social media platform. That's a form of control because they don't want you to see the whole story. They don't want you to have all of the facts so you can make up your own mind and think for yourself. That is how they tend to control you. That is how they tend to divide a populace. They only want you to know one side of the story, usually their side, and their side only. They don't want you to know everything. They don't want you to know the other side story. Why? Because if you hear the other side and go, you know what, you're wrong, this person over here is right, why should I listen to you? Then they lose all of that power. And if they can no longer control you, make you think the way they want, make you act the way you want, make you even vote the way they want, then they lose all of that power. And that's something that they do not want to give up. So, right about now, you might be thinking I'm full of crap, that I'm just speaking out my butt and everything here is unverifiable. Like I said earlier, I want you to do your own research. Like I said, don't just look at one side of the story. Take everything in, every bit of information you can in, whether it be from Fox News, CNN, whoever, other YouTubers, whatever. Take as much information in as possible and come to your own conclusions. You're also probably asking yourself, so who really wants to divide and basically destroy America? Well, okay, here's for all you conspiracy theorists. It's the globalists who want this. Take a look at the European Union. There's a group of people who no one really knows who they are. They weren't elected into office, but they're the ones running the European Union. The populace didn't vote for these people. Many of the populace don't even know who those people are who are running the European Union. And just look at what's happening over in Europe. Look at England, with all the diversity that's going on. Acid and knife attacks are up, especially in London. Look at Germany. Look how many attacks and rapes and murders have been going on in Germany ever since the European Union took over. And the European Union wants no borders. They don't believe in a country's sovereignty. They want all that taken away. And they have their eyes set on America. Because let's be honest, if America falls and becomes part of the European Union or something similar to it, then the rest of the world just might follow. Well, maybe not Russia, but the rest of the world will follow, going, well, hey, if America did it, then maybe we should look into it too. Why? Because America, unfortunately, we help everybody. We give money to just about every single country in this world, whether it be for the defense of the country, whether it be to help the poor in that country, whatever. We're pretty much the mommy and daddy of the world, when it comes to money. So a lot of these other countries look up to us for that. And they look to the United States for guidance. And if America gives in and becomes part of this no borders, no sovereignty thing, guess what? It's going to be kind of like a domino effect. And other nations will do it too. And then everything's going to be over. All of our freedoms that we enjoy in this country today will be gone. That I can guarantee. Your freedom of speech, the Second Amendment, all of those freedoms that we enjoy so much in our country, that's all going to be gone. It's all going to be 100% totally controlled by some unseen government that we have no idea who's in it. We don't elect anyone to that government. They just appoint themselves to it. And that's who's going to eventually end up running America if we fall, if we are destroyed that way, and eventually the world. That's the whole thing. I know that this sounds kind of crazy and really far fetched, but I seriously would like for all of you to go back about a good, let's just say 50 years. Pay attention to how news articles and news stories were written and spoken compared to the way they are today. Pay attention to how everything is worded, especially how it's worded like in the headlines or the opening statement of a story, because that sets the tone for the whole story. And even if the story seems rather benign and harmless, like I said, pay attention to the title and the opening statement. That's where they tend to grab you. That is the first attempt to control how you think. Like I said in the previous episode, they'll use a term like man goes on rampage in mall. But when you go ahead and you watch the video or read the article, it's like, well, this guy really didn't do a rampage. All he did was go in there and he busted a window, maybe beat up somebody. It really wasn't a rampage. But many people will go, oh my God, this person is insane. He went on this rampage, and this, they make it sound more than what it really is. And that's how they tend to try to control the way you think and act and feel. Don't look just through the news media, look through social media as well and how things are portrayed in there. Pay attention to technology. How much have they been pushing all these smart devices so that you can have a microphone and a camera inside your home? And for Christ's sakes, look at laptops. They all come with cameras now and microphones built in. If you ever go back and see some of these interviews they done with Zuckerberg, the creator of Facebook, and they show you inside his offices, if you ever notice, pay close attention to all those laptops. If you notice, they put a piece of tape over the camera. I'm not joking. There's tape over the cameras. Think about it. They want your fingerprints now to unlock your phone. Some phones are now becoming with facial recognition. Next thing you know, they'll be doing retinal scans to unlock your phone. Am I paranoid? Nah. Even though I can understand why someone would think I'm, one of those weird paranoid conspiracy theorists, but it's actually the truth. Seriously, go back throughout history, go back even 20 years, and you'll see what I'm talking about and draw your own conclusion. Okay, seeing how I'm on here for over an hour, I think all of you are probably tired of listening to what I have to say. So, in closing, I am going to say this: do your own research, think for yourself, do not rely on one, two, or three sources of information. Take every bit of information you can find and make that judgment call for yourself. Basically, question everything. Someone you're talking to face or online, or even if you're reading an article from somebody or watching a video from somebody, question them. Say, hey, I want proof. Give me verifiable proof. Give me the statistics. Question everything. Don't just be complacent and say, okay, it must be true. No, don't do that. That's what they want you to do. They don't want you to take the time out of your life to verify what they said. With me, go ahead. Verify everything I said. If I'm wrong, hey, then I'm wrong. Just leave it in the comments below. Show me I'm wrong. Give me verifiable proof that I'm wrong. I want you to go out and do your own research and find the truth for yourself. I want you to think for yourself. I don't want you to rely on me or someone else for your information. I want you to take in every bit of information you can so you can draw your own conclusions and think for yourself. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Cogent Bogan. And until the next time, please take care of yourself.